Hey y'all, today we're going to talk about packing the big iron. Let's get into it. Now, if you like this content, like, sub, shares, all that good stuff, I really appreciate it. Also, down below, coupon codes and merch to help support the channel. So, what are we talking about today? So, we're talking about concealed carrying 44 Magnum or the big iron, which could be basically any large bore revolver cartridge. And I'm going to start here by talking about the biggest problem everybody talks about, which is the fact that you can't conceal the big iron. You can't conceal a large frame revolver. It's impossible. You can't do it. It doesn't work. And I'm going to take a step back, right? I'm wearing pants and a Hawaiian shirt, and I'm going to take a spin around like so, right? And you know what? Not really pretty lightly dressed, actually. It's still a little bit warm here in Arizona, although it's cooling off. And I want to show that with just this light Hawaiian shirt, I'm able to conceal this, which is my big iron. This is my Smith & Wesson Model 29-3 4-inch 44 Magnum. This is the gun that replaced my 329 PD. Now, it's a long story. I'm not going to tell it here, but I had some issues with the 329 PD, so I decided to go old school Smith & Wesson with this gun. And now I'm going to take a brief moment to tell you about my big iron. So this is a Smith & Wesson 29-3, built somewhere in the 80s. So this gun, when I got it, did not have the original grips. It had a set of rubber Pachmayr grips that were kind of used up, and it was time to replace them. And Pachmayr used to actually make a really good product, and they actually were based, I think, in Los Angeles, California, if I remember right, which is a kind of cool aspect. But Pachmayr, as far as I know now, makes their stuff in China, and the quality has, well, at least according to online, has really kind of dipped. So I decided to go G10, and I went with the Hogue G10 Mono Grip that has a really, really nice handle, right? You can get nice full grip on the gun, finger grooves, which I really like, really allowing to get a very nice grip on the gun, and it's good for concealment because unlike rubber, these aren't going to grab at your clothing. Going past the gun, it's pretty much standard Smith & Wesson, standard sights and everything. I've not really done a whole lot to this gun because you don't really need to do a whole lot with these guns. These older Smith & Wessons were really built much nicer than the current production stuff. At some point, someone put a Wolf recoil spring in, the best I can tell, and I have taken this gun apart. That's about the only modification they did that did make the trigger a little bit smoother, but honestly, these old revolvers already have a really nice trigger, so there's really not much to do to it. Of course, you could always do, porting and, full-on trigger job, stuff like that, but for me, standard Smith & Wesson, it does the job. But this is a 6-shot 44 Magnum and with a 4-inch barrel. 4 inches is, if you're looking to carry a big iron, 4 inches is kind of going to be your minimum. And that's something to keep in mind if you're looking to carry a large gun like this is, yes, some of the guns, depending upon the gun and the caliber and everything, you can get a 3-inch, but especially for recoil purposes, some of them snub nose can be nasty to shoot and difficult to find. I looked a little bit at getting a 3-inch version of a Model 29, and they are exceptionally hard to find and exceptionally expensive. Even these 4 inches are tough to find, especially if you want a pre-lock model. I hunted for a very long time for this. But taking a look at my gun, it's no beauty queen, so with carrying it, it's going to get some more wear on it, and I'm okay with that because, again, it's already got its fair share of nicks and scratches and little imperfections, probably from being used and maybe even carried at some point in its life. So now that I was kind of able to kill two birds with one stone, one, I showed you my big iron, and I was able to show you that concealing it, even in a simple Hawaiian shirt like this, is definitely possible. You just have to get a decent holster and a decent belt. For anybody wondering, I'm using a core reinforced gun belt, and then I'm using a simply rugged inside the waistband holster for concealment. So the big question is, should you carry a big iron? Should you carry a large bore revolver? Is it practical, especially nowadays when you have high capacity, for the size and weight, you can get Glock 19 with a 17 round or more magazine, and, you can get a red dot and a light and all these fancy things. Is it still practical to carry a revolver? And the answer is, of course it is, but you have to know your limitations as a firearm owner and shooter, because there are some trade-offs to carrying a large bore revolver. Because while there are several benefits to carrying a revolver, such as more energy potential, ease of use, less potential for jams, different size grips you're able to tailor more towards your specific hand requirements. There's a lot of downsides to carrying a large bore revolver, and that's kind of what I'm going to talk about now. And that is that basically a full power 44 mag or even a full power 357 or anything above that 454 Conceal, all these larger calibers, that the big argument is you're dealing with way too much energy. You're going to have to deal with over penetration. You're going to have to deal with all these problems, and the noise and the racket and the recoil, it's all going to be a disadvantage to you because you're going to have to worry about the round over penetrating. You're going to have to worry about the fact that it's high recoiling and it's going to be slower for follow-up shots. You're going to have to worry about your hearing. You're going to worry about all these issues. That is a really good point, but it comes from someone making a point who I don't think understands revolver cartridges, and especially not hand loading. So here's the thing. Yes, if I was to carry a 44 mag with a 240 grain soft point, yeah, you know what? You're dealing with way too much energy. That's like a deer hunting round or something like that, designed for much more penetration than the average concealed carrier is going to need. And that's all well and good, but here's the thing, is when I carry my 44 mag, I don't carry that kind of round. I find much lower energy rounds. For instance, Federal makes a personal defense 44 mag. I know a couple other companies also do that. It's lower energy, designed for rapid expansion, and still very powerful. And that's kind of where I say the advantage of the 44 mag and big bore revolvers is people go on about too much energy. I invite more energy. There has been many instances of handgun rounds not being a good fight stopper. The old saying, I forget who it was, maybe it was Clint Smith, it was somebody, I don't remember who said it, that basically said, the idea of a handgun is to fight your way to your rifle. Well, why not have a handgun that has some rifle energy packed into it? So that's why I think some of the big bore stuff can be an advantage, because if you tailor the right round, and again, you can download, you can switch to a faster expanding projectile, there's a ton of things you can do to tailor a large bore round to your needs, which is the nice thing about a large bore round is, when you have a fully loaded 9mm, right, like a 9mm plus P, you can load it so much. And look, you know what, we're still trying to figure out how to make it a little bit hotter, a little bit better and all that, but you're pretty much maxed out for that cartridge, where something like 44, well, you're maxed way up here, and you're looking at 9mm right here. You can bring that energy level way down to where it's something tailored to self-defense. So that's honestly why I think the high energy issue isn't so much an issue, it's more of an opportunity. Next thing people really talk about is capacity, and that's a legitimate concern. So that is a legitimate concern because, again, you could have a Glock 19 or 15, 17 rounds easily with spare reloads. So you can easily double or triple the ammo capacity of a big bore revolver with a medium to full size semi-automatic. Now, I will never say that you can have too much ammo for concealed carry. Obviously, there's limitations, but you know what? There's no one that's ever been in a gunfight who has said, hey, I really wish I had less ammo right now. Now, in reality, we live in a fairly safe time. The odds of needing your handgun are small. The odds of needing to fire your handgun are even smaller. And the odds of needing to fire your handgun more than once are it's minuscule to nothing. Now, that doesn't mean that every single situation is only going to take a couple shots to resolve. But I can carry my 44 mag on my waist. I can put one speed loader on my belt, and there I've got 12 shots. Something to definitely keep in mind, but I don't think it's necessarily a deal breaker. People have been carrying 5-shot 38 snub noses for a very long time, and they've lived to tell the tale. So a 6-shot 44 or something that size should be no problem at all. And finally, I want to talk about limitations, and that is the biggest thing you have to figure out when carrying a big bore revolver, is everybody's built different. Some people handle recoil better. Some people just don't like lugging around a larger frame gun, such as a big bore revolver. And the reality is, as far as weight, I mean, I think a 4-inch 29 is about as much within a few ounces of a full-size 1911. So there's really not a big weight difference between like a large steel frame handgun and a large steel frame revolver. But the biggest thing is the recoil. Like, even if you you can load down a 44 mag. So basically, you can have like 44 special, and 44 special recoils very light, like very light in a big revolver like that. But at that point, you've downloaded it to the point where, well, hell, you might as well just carry 45 ACP or 9mm. So it kind of defeats the purpose. The biggest thing you can do is go out to the range and practice with it. Be proficient with it. Any handgun that you can shoot well and are proficient with is a handgun that's going to defend you and protect you. So I say if you're going to carry a big iron, go for it. Just make sure you get a decent belt, a decent holster, select the right cartridge for the right job, and I'll see you all later.